Datamines. Yep. We got more Datamine locations, guys. And I gotta review them. We gotta give a star rating. Now, these locations are probably the most exciting ones that I have seen of all these Datamines. They're so cool, and I can't wait until they're in the game. But really quick, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for all the support, liking, subscribing, just watching the videos and hanging out. It really means a great deal to me. It makes the work that I'm putting in worth it. It's really awesome engaging with you guys and also seeing people that enjoy Marvel Snap as much as I do. So for real, thank you. But that's not what we're here for. We got to check out these locations, okay? So I have the ratings up here. This is how I do the ratings. It's really less about if the location's good or not. It's more of like it's good for the game in a fun aspect. Is it creative? Am I going to share screenshots because this location was so exciting? Or is it going to put rocks in my deck? And that's essentially how I'm breaking these down. So you can see that right here. But we're just going to jump into these, okay, guys? So on the top, we got Warrior Falls. Okay, first, artwork is so good. I absolutely love this. This feels like a 1950s comic, like one of the early editions. Absolutely love it. I hope they don't change it. I hope it's not just 10. But this reads, each turn give a card in each player's hand +1 power. So I'm giving this 4 stars. I really like the idea of giving cards in your hand power, that kind of hand buff style. It got a little out of hand with Nakia before her nerfs when she was giving every single card +2 power. That was too much in a single card. But I think a location that gives mutual benefit, this provides a lot of strategy. You can either just have a lot of cards in your hand and guarantee the buff and you kind of spread the wealth amongst all your cards, play the ones that get the buffs, or you could try and play all of the cards out of your hand to really focus buffs on one card that might benefit from it a little bit more. Like I've datamined a card called the Black Panther. If that card is released in its current edition, it reads on reveal double the power that this card has. So if this got buffed 2 or 3 times, it starts with 2, it gets up to 5, let's say, then you play it, it's 10 power. It gets an immediate benefit from this location. But there's no bias here. You can utilize this location to your advantage depending on what your hand is, what kind of deck strategy you're playing. But both you and your opponent are going to get reciprocal value. So I think this is a great location. I really, really like it. The only reason it doesn't get 5 stars is because you're probably not going to get those crazy moments that you want to share with your friends. It's just kind of a steady buff. And it's really healthy for the game, but it's not crazy. It's not super interesting. Okay, then we got Mandapore, another not super interesting one. We saw one similar that I reviewed where you can move cards to that location. I forget the name, but this one is essentially the reverse, where you can move cards from this location. So if you play something there, you can then move it off to a different one of the other 2 locations. This is nice if you're doing some on-reveal stuff and you want to open up space for your combo. But otherwise, like, I don't know, like probably with move synergy, there's benefit here. But again, like I don't love when a location benefits one kind of deck archetype, which I'm starting to see as a trend with the move synergy. They get a lot of benefit from locations. I guess that kind of just naturally plays into the playstyle of move decks, but I would like to see a little bit less of this. It is an interesting location, but it also just doesn't do a lot in the game, especially if you're both not running move deck. I'm like, I don't know. There could be a lot of surprise factors. You play cards there, and then on turn 6, you move them off to other locations. Your opponent didn't see that coming. I think that happens a lot with New York, which is in the game right now. People will hold off on playing on New York, and then turn 6, they'll move cards there, or they'll bait their opponent in thinking you're going to move cards there, and they don't. So it adds a little bit of layer of strategy, and that's why I'm giving Mandapore 3 stars. Okay, now we have Krakoa? I don't know. I think that's how you pronounce it. My goodness, the art, fantastic. But the effect, garbage, okay? So what this seems like to me is ego, right? Ego takes over the game and plays your cards for you, and you basically just go, oh, okay, I guess I'm not playing the game anymore. Now, it doesn't specify if this location is what takes over and plays the cards for you, but I imagine that's probably because the effect is going to be in the game at some point, and the name might be a placeholder, so they might change the name or the art or whatever. The difference between this one and ego is it's on turn 6. So you have a little bit more control as to what it's going to play on turn 6. You can maybe only have 1 card in your hand, or at least know that you're only going to have 2 cards or something like that, so it's not too crazy. But on turn 6, the most important turn of the game, you're just leaving your fate to the AI, which might do the worst move ever, and then your opponent's AI does like the best move ever, and then you just lose your max amount of cubes because you stuck in there to this location. I mean, come on, like that's just not fun. Like I think you'd see this location and people would retreat instantly. The only reason reason people stay in with Ego, because it's so random, because it starts from like turn 1, 2, or 3, that you don't so much mind, because it's like, okay, we'll see what happens. But actually waiting till turn 6 feels even worse, because you just know that that uncontrollable turn is coming at the most important time of the game. I don't love the effect on this 1 star. Okay, then we got Oscorp Tower from Spider-Man, so this is pretty cool. At the end of your turn 3, all cards here swap sides. So the first that I have was the Hood. Normally you want to like play the Hood and then Viper the Hood over or something like that, but then the Hood on this one is just great, because you play the Hood there, you get the Demon, play the Demon elsewhere, and then you're happy. Overall, this one feels a little bit weird to me, because if it's like turn 1 and 2, you happen to play resources at this unknown location, then this flips, you know that you're going to give your opponent all that value that you built up to this point, and then you're probably just getting out of there. It is at the end of turn 3, and this is going to be revealed at the beginning of turn 3. You do have that 1 turn to decide what you're going to do to make up for it, but overall, it might just be a little bit awkward. I would have liked this to be a later turn, like turn 5 or 6 even. That'd be kind of crazy, because you can maybe play like Red Skull and then Shang-Chi him on turn 6 if you did it on 5, or some kind of crazy combo like that. Maybe a little bit more combo enabling and instead of the turn 3 swap. But overall, I don't think it would do too much to ruin your games. So I'm giving it 3 stars. Okay, here we go. We got the absolutely crazy ones. I love all these, and the artwork's pretty cool. We're gonna start it off with Machine World. So first of all, the art, great, how they're just like in line being built. When you play a card here, add a copy to your opponent's hand. That's hilarious. I think that would cause so many funny moments, because you have control over what your opponent's going to get, but you could also hand lock them by playing a bunch of cards, and then they never end up drawing their deck, because you're playing like Bounce Bros or something and playing a bunch of cards. Now they do get those cards, so they can play them the following turn, but I think overall there's just some shenanigans that can happen here. There's just a lot of potential for this location to get absolutely out of hand, which is why I really like it. I don't even know of some crazy combos. Let me know in the comments below some really fun combos that would work with Machine World to really give your opponent a hard time. I even think of like Black Widow, like the Widow's Bite being passed over back and forth, because you keep playing it and then your opponent gets one. Oh man, that'd be hilarious. So I am going to give Machine World 5 stars. Great for the game. It's very on point. I'd like to see this one. Another 5-star location is Morag. I think it's called Morag. Morag. I don't know. Morag. I'm going to go with that. Could be Mirage. I don't know, guys. I'm bad with these pronunciation of these ones. But it's a cool effect. You can't play your first card here each turn. I love that. That's so interesting. It does shut down control. So if you're playing a slower deck, you're going to have a really hard time. Whereas if you're playing a flood deck, you could play a card and then play another card, or just, lots of possibilities there. But I think it's just a kind of simple design that adds a lot of layer of strategy to the game, and really makes you think. It's funny because I find the locations that actually prevent you playing cards there end up being the most fun, because it really creates a puzzle that you have to then solve in the game, or gives benefit to movement. Mirage, I don't know, gets a lot of benefit. If you play like Vision or Nightcrawler elsewhere and then you move them over here, that's easy power that you don't have to worry about not playing so many cards. And you don't have to worry about playing your first card. You can just move cards over there. Another great benefit is Ultron. I've been running Ultron decks lately, and I think it is so good. And the drones get there. They reach there. Rocks reach there with debris. Squirrels reach there with Squirrel Girl. So there's a lot of ways to get around this effect. So I'm giving Morag, 5 stars. I'm giving this one 5 stars. Okay, now Mother Mold. I can pronounce that one. So I'm giving this one 2 stars. It's when you play a card here, add a Sentinel to your hand. That's interesting. Gives you infinite value. You can play a bunch of Sentinels, your opponent playing Sentinels, all that kind of thing. But Sentinels are vanilla 2/3s essentially that put a card back in your hand. Not the most exciting thing. So it's just kind of like meh. And maybe I don't want those Sentinels in my hand. Maybe it takes up too much space. Like, might just get out of hand. I don't really want them. Unless, and then if you're playing a hand buff deck with Devil Dino and whatnot, then you get the benefit, but that's kind of not always going to happen. I just don't know about this one. It's an interesting effect, but not like game changing. It's probably going to feel very similar to Subterranea, where you're adding rocks. It's just cards that I didn't bring to the table. Why are you making me play them? I'm going to give Mother Mold 2 stars. Okay, the last one, and this one is probably my favorite. It's super cool. 5 stars for Vormir. If you don't have a card here, you can't play anywhere else. I think this is super cool. If you can find a way to lock this location down early, like get an early Spider-Man into Professor X combo or something, like Electro, then Spider-Man, Professor, I don't know. Just find a way to lock down this location, you win the game. It's a wrap. Your opponent can't play anywhere else. And then they can't add cards anywhere else. And then it's just done. They'll just retreat. I think that's so funny. But I like the commitment to having to go here first. And now this could be revealed on the third location, right? You don't know when this is going to get revealed. First, second, or third. If it's first, it's probably easy because you just know to commit the resources there. You play your first card there and move on. And this really helps on reveal decks like Guardians of the Galaxy card, because if your opponent hasn't played a card there, you can just keep guessing that they're going to play there first, because there's a very, very good chance they are, or in fact they have to. It's simple in design, it's easy to understand what you have to do with this one, it's strategic in nature, and it makes for some pretty crazy moments if you can lock down this location and just win outright. So I really like Formir. It gets 5 stars. Alright, that's it for my second batch of Datamine locations. Shout out to Snap.fan for data mining these cards and the locations. I really appreciate it. It's been really fun to do these. I do have some more to cover, so stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.